The tall, gangly thing?
Well, we're gonna jump into game number 1. Doa and Mort, take it away.
All right, thanks, Necro. Yeah, it feels like Domo is just kind of waiting to see what he gets from Krugs, and then that's going to kind of inform the direction a little bit better. You get a bunch of AP, well, you can sort of look towards Dawnbringer a little bit. You get a bunch of AD, think Skirmishers, but the thing is Domo's not going to be the only player thinking Skirmishers in this lobby. There seems to be at least 2 other players, I believe. We saw Mayusil, and I think he just clicked on either Broccoli or Imissvoidsins, who also had some Skirmishers. Spencer also having some Skirmishers here too. So with the power that Skirmishers has had this week, it's not surprising that a lot of people playing around with it. It is also just good in the early game, but some of these players are going to need to pivot.
Yeah, it looks like what we're seeing is kind of what you'd expect for, I think, game 1, which is everyone's playing the comps that they're comfortable with. No one's taking any crazy risks. Skirmishers are that strong early game that can get you into top 4. We saw a few forgotten players as we went around. Again, very early comp that can get you a nice solid top 4.
6 very comfortably. You got a lot of gold to use, and you're going to feel good with those 6 Skirmishers. So Domo stabilize. Robinsongz, oh wow, yeah.
That's a big hit for Robins there, getting the Shadow Sword with the Spatula. He now has a Forgotten Spatula, which will allow him to basically flex this however you want. You can play the Mordekaiser there. You could play something like a Rel. A lot of really strong options here to just hit 6 Forgotten and be happy with that. I'd be shocked if he didn't do that. I guess he's going for the full roll down to try to hit, something bigger here. Does he go the Shadow Shojin route? I think that'd be a big mistake to pass on the Forgotten Spatula here.
I would agree. You get all sorts of great stuff. Like we saw Forgotten Darius being extremely strong yesterday as well. And
But yeah, I will say Rakuyo though with this 4 Knight board, this is pretty interesting and kind of a big risk that we wouldn't expect. I don't think anyone was expecting 4 Knight Rangers this early at this point in the game. So very interested to see where this goes. Although you see the pieces, and maybe we see here, this is the Forgotten transition. Okay. So he's joining the Forgotten train, going the 6 Forgotten. So now we've got another Forgotten player in the midst, and we'll have to see if that pans out the way. And yeah, this is the turn that's going to make or break a lot of people here. We're going to see a level to 7, we're going to see a roll down, and this is going to come down to how much do you 2-star, and some good 2-star hits there, which is great. But can you hit the Draven? There you go. That's going to be good. So we're going to see all these Vayne items move over to the Draven, and there you go. Perfect Draven items once he can get that in. Buys the Varus. That's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, with Draven just being a 1-star, I feel like we're starting to see players do this more and more, where they're going to just rely on that Vayne 2 to carry them through a little while. I think there's definitely scenarios where a Draven 1 with items is going to be better than a Vayne 2 with items, but I think he feels like since he found that Varus 2, that's going to be the strongest way to go, and, time will tell if that's correct, but I don't know if I necessarily argue with that decision.
Right.
We're going to take a look at Voidsins. Imissvoidsins board and said he was the player that was playing that Dawnbringer comp with the buffed Soraka. And he's not going to play the Forgotten game or the Skirmisher game. He's just going to say, you know what, I'm going to go Dawnbringer. I've got these items I know I can use to make Soraka really strong. And it was working out right up until, we started watching him. I guess he's lost a couple rounds, but this isn't the worst way to play it. But you're getting to the point in the game where this is not going to continue carrying you the way it did in the early game, even if he wins this round.
Yeah, what's interesting is you look, if he's level 7, 50 gold, he hasn't leveled up that much, which I wonder if we missed it means he did a bit of a roll down and just didn't find any karmas, which if that's the case is a very unfortunate situation. There finally hits one, so we'll have to see how quickly he's willing to transition those Soraka items.
Imissvoidsins, I mentioned this earlier, has been one of the most consistent players we've had in the tournament too. The lowest he's placed in all 4 days so far is 6th, and that's only one time. Every other game has been a 5th or better. So his style definitely has been trending towards stability, making sure you hit that top 4. He has played Dawnbringers a decent amount, but he's also shown a lot of flexibility, frankly, in terms of the compositions that he's played. He's played Cav, everything from like the typical Forgotten and Dawnbringers to like Cav Spellweaver reroll too. So he seems just very good at playing flexible and identifying in a given lobby what the most stable comp to top 4 with is going to be.
Yeah, no, I'm interested looking at his items, because he can go Assassin Spatula, he's not going to go Skirmisher Spatula, or he's got that Reforger. He could take a gamble and try to hit that Dawnbringer Spatula, but ooh.
If she's 2 stars, he still needs to make sure that she lives to at least cast. But, that makes these.
And he hits the Garen! Wow!
What? Wow! Holy cow! Hello, 8 Dawnbringer.
Yep.
Are you kidding me? And Dawnbringer Ivern is great. You get more daisy casts off. This is just fantastic right now. Would you go possibly GA on the Garen? Or no, he's going to reforge it.
I like the reforge play here. Was really trying for another Dawnbringer spat.
Like crazy. Like, okay, who am I going to play against?
Yep.
What can I do to position? You can see he's doing a bit of scouting now. Last minute swap to the other side. Is he going to hit a favorable matchup against this? Finds another. Oh, the other Forgotten board.
Oh, I think Viego's going to grab the Draven, and that might... Oh! Snipes it too quickly! Wow. But there's Thresh. There's Thresh, though.
Oh, that Threshold is huge. And he's down. That hurts. All right, so now the question is, all right, do I lose by enough that I can maybe take a sneaky 4th, but it doesn't look like it. No, we can't. And 1 point outside of the top 4 for Robinsongz. That hurts.
Bad. In a very powerful state. And is that another Dawnbringer spat?
It is, yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, you want to go 8 Dawnbringer a whole different way now. So it's going to be Dawnbringer Volibear as well, so the cast is definitely going to happen.
Which, again, against something like Skirmishers, which starts out with a very big shield, this can be really powerful.
Yep. The Karma doing a lot of damage as well, but that Riven cannot be ignored. Going down pretty quickly here against the Jax, but still getting a good amount of damage onto the Jax before she finally gets taken out. That's going to help seal the deal. As Karma gets one final shot off to win it against Mayusil.
Double
kill.
That's
it. That's right. Double kill, and Imissvoidsins with a Dawnbringer comp is going to take game 1.
All right, it's day number 4, excuse me, game number 2 of the Reckoning mid-set finale. It's Verdant and Admiral here
in for Draconic, and so I wouldn't be surprised to see them go that direction at all.
3 Draconic.
Wow.
Just from the fact that the Ash popped out. Now, but you have a lot of flexibility because of the fact that you have so much gold. Selling a Pantheon to the double level, okay.
That is aggressive. You know, I talked at the start of this about I would expect to see players more aggressive. That is way aggressive, Dan. Holy smoke! I don't think I've ever sold a Pantheon in my life.
I don't believe you. But I hear the sentiment, and I can get behind it. Pantheon is really good.
You have a chance for a 5-win streak here, and your board is very strong, I'd say, at this point. You know, they haven't really been looking around the board too much. There's just a lot of tough decisions they're having to make personally. You know, I wouldn't be too worried about the board either. Your board's pretty strong. People got to be worried about you.
Yes, very much so. I mean, Domo is on a full lose streak with holding Hellion. We'll find out as we start to roll right now and see if he can start making some traction onto the 1 cost that he's looking at, as he does find Poppy, but ultimately needs to find Kled 3.
Yes, and finding lots of non-Kled Hellions. There's a Kled. And I am curious, too, how far are you willing to dip in a scenario like this? We're going to find out. 4 goes the 2+ cost Hellions that are taking place. There's a 3-star Poppy. Dips to 30 in this one. Goes ahead and slams that Sunfire. But now, where does the rest of this go?
You know, back in the day, Poppy used to like AP items. I was thinking exactly this. And Poppy is pretty tanky now, especially with some of the slight buffs to her in recent patches. You give her Shadow Locket. I would like to see some support around that as well when Brokuyu gets a chance to level up. Perhaps playing more Knights, for example. Taric is something that comes to mind because with his heal, gives so much effective HP and also
I don't know exactly what to do. I just kind of rely on the game to hope and use my intuition. For Robinsongz here, grabbing that Heimer with the glove and then just selling it for 5 extra gold, it's going to help propel them up to 8, which is a very big key mark for this Dawnbringer comp. It's got to get to 8.
Yeah, I mean, doesn't need the Heimerdinger because the Ivern ties everything very nicely together. He'll come back for it, and that's why we mentioned it was a late game option. Going up against Voidsins, who's just applying major pressure to the rest of the lobby. He's at 50 gold and 8, and this looks like Imissvoidsins is just going to steamroll to a fast 9. Story is that he actually ended up leaving his job to pursue a career in full-time Teamfight Tactics professional play. And right now, being able to have that Volibear, Pump finds Heimerdinger again immediately. And right now, Dawnbringer does not seem to be a tree that a ton of people are playing. I think I only saw Mayusil in it. Finds 2 more Nidalees, but that's not the Dawnbringer that he's looking for immediately. He's going to transfer that Titans back onto Garen, one of the better items for him. But needs to find 2-star Karma, needs to find 2-star things in general, because the stuff that he has 2-star aren't the high impact ones.
Wow, I mean, this was not the strongest roll down I have ever seen. It was pretty darn weak. However, you are at 8, you do have Garen, and you do have a Volley Bear. So the thing about it is you just need this Karma to be protected for just long enough for things to be working out. In this case situation, it definitely looks like it. I mean, just oh my gosh, 16 straight wins.
Yeah, and look what level he's at. A 5-2 fast 9. We said there was a possibility. Some people wait till 5-5 so they have maximum gold, but I personally like jamming tempo. And it hasn't been really done many times before. I personally have never witnessed a perfect 100 HP win at high level play. When the stakes are on the line for a spot at regionals, this would be quite epic to say the least. Voidsins immediately going to try to see if he can wipe that front line and close in onto that Jax. Broccoli's at level 7, so just the sheer raw power of the unit count is a lot for Broccoli to handle. Jax is kind of ramped up, but with no sustain, it's going to be really difficult for him to climb back into this fight.
Transition, or are you just holding yourself that option to transition? You know, I think that holding yourself the option is probably a lot more important than, you know, getting the execution of it right now, because you might not even want to do it. So I think that just doing what you can to make sure that you're supporting this Jax properly, who has carried you to this point, is probably the right idea.
Yeah, that's right. Spencer looks very strong with that Riven 3. He did get the win versus Domo and snapped his win streak. And that big Heimerdinger burst combined with the Karma is going to wipe. So Voidsins does take a little bit of damage here. Just tis but a flesh wound, as Domo will end up going out in 4th place. Now what that does is it unlocks more Skirmishers.
The round, only pretty cleanly with that Jax staying alive. You get to this carousel, and my gosh, there is just so much going on with this board that I'm looking at that Shroud. That's one of the biggest things I have in mind. Robinsongz, I think, looking to, you know, perhaps draft this Shroud away as well. So Voidsins immediately takes a step forward, forces them to make a choice, and now what do you do?
I mean, I saw the Garen with the Renewer Spat, too. I mean, that's one of the best spatula emblems that you can place onto Garen, period. Or if he just ends up winning solely due to the fact that his HP lead is so significant and maybe can steal one. Another rematch versus Spencer. Spencer this time has a Renewer Garen on the front line of this field. We'll see if that ends up making a difference maker. Jax immediately goes to the backline. Karma doesn't have any time to ramp. And while she's able to go into rapid fire mode, it might be too late. She immediately tries to shoot. The Trundle does not really mean anything, as Jax is able to be at full life. And the Wristler ends up being able to guarantee that he goes back up to full life. This might be a double kill. Robinsongz actually won versus whoever's ghost he faced. So this is at best going to be a top 2 scenario. Imissvoidsins is going to crush the remaining forces of Spencer and send him into a 3rd place.
I mean, at 6'5", you take some serious damage. The positioning that Imissvoidsins is doing here, again, the pathing of this Jax, the way it walks around, it targets this, and then where does it go after this? It goes straight to that backline. If you murder that backline, that Karma is not able to murder the rest of your team, and I think we're going to see a win here with 40 gold left.
With 40 gold left and a ton of units onto the bench. He didn't even need Jax 3, just overwhelming pressure. And then good from Voidsins is able to do it.
And of course, Imissvoidsins with back-to-back first, going to solidify 20 points. And Dan, second best right now is 12.
All right, thanks, Necra. It's time for the 3rd game of the day here at the TFT Reckoning mid-set finale.
Yeah, I do really like the early Shadow Hurricane. A lot of early game fights. 2-star Nidalee with this. Wow. This is real strong. Spencer probably just locked himself at the top 4 with that hit. That is a strong hit. Because again, with that Shadow for these early fights that I think will keep Spencer going. And top it all off, that stacks with the AD that you're getting from the Skirmisher bonus.
I mean, a Nidalee 2 before stage 3 is just insane to begin with. So yeah, when you combine it with those items, that's going to be pretty strong. The Nunu doing some damage with the Sunfire, but maybe not enough scouting going on. Yeah, and it looks like Voidsins. Maybe one more Morgana or Lysandra cost. This was a pretty close round, actually.
Yeah, the big thing that makes this close, I think we talked about this on day 1, is Lysandra with that AD reduction.
Right.
Can really put a damper on the Skirmishers, knocking their AD by 40%. But again, thankfully with enough strength there with the Nidalee 2. Honestly, with the Nidalee 1, I think he loses that fight.
Huh, okay. So couple different item options here, and again, you probably want to wait to see. Wow, he did find it.
And you can see the instant slam to 6, the instant spike of power here. This is great.
I don't know.
Yeah, the interesting thing is, with this composition, it's really not about the items, because you've already got the Nocturne items. Sure. The only other thing would be a Shadow Locket for yourself here.
That's big.
That's big. But at the same time, that's another one too. Yeah. For sure. At this point, though, I actually almost wonder if he should stop rolling down and try to go for that Nocturne 3. The challenge is just, he's at 42 health, so it's going to be a little tricky. And we're going to have to see at the bottom. This game, we only have one player at the top. Spencer has a 40 HP lead over second place, playing, again, that sort of strong skirmisher start here. But after that, it gets really close. Buzzy Boo to Robinsongz is very close, and then the drop from there isn't that big a deal. So this is looking like a pretty close lobby here.
And this is looking like an interesting board for Broccoli. For now, going for Renewer, actually. I'm going to move some items over to the Heimerdinger, I would imagine.
Yeah, I think for sure you go Shojin Jeweled Gauntlet here. Yeah. It gets... Oh, that's tricky, though. Putting the Locket here is tricky. I like it because it keeps him alive a little bit, just for all the Assassin matchup. And again, with 4 Renewer, this Heimerdinger is going to cast very quickly. Oh, that was a bad cast, though.
Yeah, the baby dragon needs some aiming lessons, apparently. He needs to go back and train it more, because maybe a better shot would have done it. One more shot?
I'm curious how much damage... it's too late. Yeah, Jeweled Gauntlet situation that feels really good here.
Yeah.
But, so we're just going to see a pivot right back? Yep. There we go.
Yeah, just kind of, why not? You know, just kind of renting that Heimerdinger for a little while to try to get a round win. Didn't work out. You can still go Dawnbringer, as you can see, 6 Dawnbringer in there. And now you do have that crit build that you were talking about, Mort. So this is going to be a very strong Karma.
Maybe you consider swapping the Karma here. The Karma items are pretty good, though. It's an interesting thing to play the Final Whisper here, because it does give you that 70% Magic Shred. It means you're no longer reliant on finding that Garen, and does hit the Karma 2 here. This is big for Robin. A funny thing here, by the way, really minor, but you know Broccoli was looking for the Karma. As Robin sits here with the Karma in the shop, that is 1 less Karma for Broccoli to be able to get. So by letting it sit there in the shop, he's just hurting Broccoli's chances just a little bit.
Yep. And that's the kind of advantage you always want to take, too. It feels bad for Broccoli to run into essentially like the better version of what he was trying to build. Oh, no,
exactly.
And he's out! Oh, Robinsongz even a little bit surprised about that one. Yeah, 5-1. You almost feel a pang of guilt when you knock someone out like that. But
Warmogs and the Titans buying time for that Shadow Sunfire to do a lot of burning. So I actually don't think Karma's going to do a ton here, especially if Karma gets caught by, some residual damage here. But this is, again, one of the matchups Karma can do okay. There's no Bloodthirster on that Draven.
And the Thresh. Well, thank you, Dawnbringer, though.
Yeah, with the Shadow Sunfire doing work here, this should go the Dawnbringer's way.
Yep. Looks like it probably will. Yep, it will. So, Buzzy Boo 2 losses in a row here. And now watching that Nocturne 3 against the board. It wins, though. Oof. Oh, no, and Rokuyo out in 7th. Ouch. Also, it does give Diana that attack speed, too, so it does make her cast her ultimate a little bit sooner here. Right, Buzzy Boo's backline, but is it going to be enough?
So again, this is another example where, without the Last Whisper, Nocturne actually would really struggle with this matchup because of the Shadow Locket. But has the 3 Revenant and should be able to spike up, and there you go.
I mean, that was close, right? Without Revenant, that would have been a round that would have went the other way, but as is, Nocturne's going to be able to carve through the second round now. It's pretty close.
Yeah, in this situation, you're looking for like a Miracle Bramble off the carousel. Can really kind of help you there with the Assassins, preventing all that critical strike damage. Doesn't really get one here. Dragon Claw's not going to do you a lot of help against a Nocturne, so something like a Redemption is maybe at least gives you a little healing. But Redemption, again, not really super helpful against that Nocturne. Really good item. Right. But single target champions like Nocturne, not so much. And so Redemption is just kind of there for a little bit of extra healing, a little bit of extra health. And so again, maybe at least pushing Spencer into the second place. So here we go, matchup, rematch for the 3rd time, and we'll see how this one goes.
That's a Viego too over on the side as well, carving through the back line. Oh, is he going to be able to steal? Yeah, he stole a Heimerdinger.
Yep.
That's going to take a while to cast, but still, it's not bad. Has to summon a dragon first, I suppose. But look at that Garen. Only Garen 1, but did a lot of work. Still, the Jax getting in the back lines turns out.
Oh, that's a double kill. That's it.
That is Spencer manages to claim first place, and he needed that one. He was at 9 points. That's going to propel him way higher up in the standings.
Just now that we are at that halfway point, Imissvoidsins with the 6th. Take it away.
Let's do it! Game number 4. We're going to hop on board with Mysil. Getting to a lose streak at this point, which is pretty interesting. We've seen Robin actually do very well from a win streak perspective. Buzzyboo, of course, piecing together a nice little run, swinging with that momentum that you were talking about. Scouting around, seeing how Mysil and Broccoli are doing a very close fight on that side of the board. Oh my goodness. Nidalee able to flick over to that Kha'Zix immediately for the 1-tap. Well done. So the Crit and Kitten not able to get it done. Although, wait, whoa!
Wait, go back! That was 3 Nidalees!
3 Nidalee shop from Buzzyboo. You can just see how elated he is.
This is insane!
So let's see what Robin's able to get. Immediately picks up the Shadow Glove. He's going to see if he can roll. Immediately hits Rise. Needs to pick up a little bit more quality units, and he'll be sitting pretty.
Wow. Yeah, at what point do you stop? They're just going to keep going. I don't really blame him here. And stops with a 10 gold marker on a 6-loss streak. You know, this feels like a very common situation, and perhaps one of the reasons why I feel like I haven't been doing so well with Forgotten is it feels like taking a loss streak and then having a big roll on 6 is a very common strategy if you're playing Forgotten.
Yeah, the Nunu eats the Hecarim immediately, so bye frontline, but thankfully it does seem like he's able to clean up some of these units. And remember, Robin is still on a full loss streak. See if he can snap it. Draven trying to heal from the Hand of Vengeance. But in terms of the quality of losses, this is probably one of the best that Robin could have asked for, but he's able to get the win at the last second.
As well as able to get that Forgotten train rolling right now. Not the greatest items, I'd say, found for Rakuyo at this point, but this is where everyone super improves. It's at 4-1, and this is where most of the gold gets spent. So for Rakuyo, finding this Rise 2, a huge deal. Nunu 2, that's going to improve that A-bomb unit, and really, that's really what your main goal is right now.
Head here, as we do sell a lot of the Abomination. So I'm curious to see how this rollout is going to go. Going to skip past some of the renewers. Offered yet another Viego, which is pretty fascinating. Abomination makes its way back in. Heimerdinger has been found, which is huge. And a Viego too. Maybe in this spot, based off the way things are going, he's okay with like a 5th or a 4th place instead of going for a top 2. And I think this is a position where he can just apply enough pressure and maybe survive long enough to be able to do it.
It's a very powerful board indeed. I mean, like you said it, the Viego 2, it's just a powerful unit. You know, Viego's not really reliant on composition in terms of being a powerful unit. It's just very powerful. The question is, are you sacrificing composition when you include that Viego 2? And right now,
taking a look at the carousel, there is a Garen on it. There's a Volibear with a Spectral Spear of Shojin on it. Some really high impact stuff. There's a Rise with a Fallen Guardian Angel on the carousel. What?
Yeah. It's pretty massive when the game is not only selecting the right units, but also the right items for those units as well. I mean, so much is getting into place right now. I feel like everyone is getting some pretty massive spikes, perhaps except Broccoli and Spencer.
6. He hasn't been able to really find Rel very clearly, and if you can't, what is the second best option? You know, it's a lot of magic damage. Voidsins hits Heimer 2, and is now starting to really have the legendary board come online.
It's about positioning and then seeing, you know, which targets this Draven really picks up, and can you get the right spots for a lot of this stuff. You notice a major change at the end of this. Isn't able to hit the Karma there, but I think they're gunning for that middle line right there where the Garen, the Rel, and the Volibear all get hit by that Shroud.
Oh, and the Volibear Dawnbringer does hit the entire back corner for Broccoli. Draven does recover, though, and it seems like he's finally working through the front line. Heimerdinger not able to close things out, and so Voidsins' board just cracks a little bit too much under the pressure. He's going to scout around. Mysil ends up taking the loss. Rakuyo takes a loss too and is down in bottom 4. And every single unit that he has, rearranging for the rail to the top left, tries to see if the Shrouds can catch something in the middle, is going up against Robinsongz. This is a fight for 3rd place.
Yeah, this was a big change that Robinsongz made. You saw that Draven over to the left got moved back over to the right, and right now this Heimerdinger got stunned a little bit, but that blast from the Heimerdinger wipes out that front line. That was a big threat on Imissvoidsins' side. And that Draven was still alive, though. The Heimer able to get that shot off, and that Karma Living, I think, secures that win for Imissvoidsins. So Robinsongz going to lose this round, gets knocked out into 4th place right now. Imissvoidsins up to 3rd, Broccoli at 25, but won the last round. Spencer down to 46, but Spencer looked like they were trying to hit 9. From what I saw.
And for good reason. I mean, he doesn't have much to roll for anymore at this point. He's looking over that redemption onto the Heimerdinger. Does not get it. maybe a Frozen Heart. I mean, there is a good amount of auto attack based composition still left in the form of Broccoli's Draven and Forgotten. Not to mention that Frozen Heart is just very powerful on a unit like Volibear, for example. We'll see if Spencer ends up placing it there, scouting to see what side of the board he wants to have his units on. He's having a little cold feet on terms of where to commit it. He can actually even commit it once he sees what side of the board and what unit he wants to cast a little bit earlier. The rolls at 9 don't seem to be improving his board too much more. He does end up playing a second copy of Garen. I like that. For the same impact of 2 Volibears, 2 Garens do the same thing. Even though it doesn't stack in terms of the shred, the impact of being able to apply to the entire team is huge. Going up against this ghost version of Imissvoidsins' board, we get a really good heat check to see how strong his board stacks up against another legendary-based composition.
Yeah, and you notice the double Volibear, the fact they cast at the same time was a bit of a liability there. The 2 pop-ups just weren't really that much different. Imissvoidsins winning another round, and so Broccoli and Imissvoidsins sitting pretty even in this spot. Meanwhile, Spencer sitting at level 9 at 46 health and a very strong board that's taking place here. The whole time it feels like they've been trying to figure out what are these last spots supposed to be. We have a Garen open, and that's pretty much it. If you're going to change something else, it's going to take another unit getting changed in that spot. So like getting Mystics into play here feels incredibly difficult. You know, this is where that something like a Dawnbringer spatula ends up having a big place. You're able to do that if that's something that you want. However, when I'm looking at these boards right now, what it feels like to me is just very powerful units are really going to make the difference. You notice this Karma keeps getting placed into the middle of this board. It gets shrouded. The Heimer's in the middle. I have no idea how this fight's going to go.
Well, Spencer is playing against both opponents. It's a chance for a double kill here. Volibears and the Doombringers popping everybody else. It's a trampoline out here in game number 4 at the very end of stage number 6 as he's wiping all of Voidsins' backline and he's able to get the kill on Broccoli. He's going to be able to get the kill on Voidsins, and that's going to wrap up game number 4. Spencer able to leapfrog and get that first place finish. Back-to-back wins. When Spencer's on fire, nobody can stop him.
Yeah, I'm just kind of curious. Dan, we've got Rakuyo that went out in 5th and Buzzy Boo that went out in 7th as well. This is really, really tough for them, it feels like.
All right, thank you, Necra. And here we go, Mort. It is game 5 now. Only 1 game remaining after this one. Like, what? Who does that? You know, people want to win, I guess, but... yeah, people are not happy. Wow, early jacks. That's going to make Mai so happy.
The only thing that has me like a little questionable there is, do you keep the bow on the Pantheon? Especially because you have the jacks.
Situation.
Yeah, for sure. And I actually agree with that completely. If you're in that point where 13, it's time for a 1st or 8th comp. That is a 1st or 8th comp. And honestly, you know, players will look back and see if he gets an 8th and go, oh, he just played poorly. But actually, that is 100% the correct play. And regardless of the results, you know, you don't want to be too results driven. He should be proud of that play because that is absolutely the correct play in this situation. Beats sometimes.
Yep, that's right. And the thing is he did hit a lot of victors early, so you can see how he came to that position. But just cannot for the life of him find another one, and that was kind of the last option here. I mean, he should live to 5-1. I don't think. Wow, is he even selling more just to try to hit it? He's so desperate.
Yeah. Oh. The thing is, at this point though, even if he does hit it, and you could definitely like he's tilted, but
yeah, it doesn't even matter anymore. Really.
Even if he did hit it, he'd have a Victor 3 and a bunch of 2-star Cavaliers, like, which is fine. But again, the big thing here is Jax 1. Jax 1 holding all your items is probably going to die to a random hit here and there. We see on the other end Broccoli trying to play that Aphelios comp, and again, we've talked about this a couple times, that when that Aphelios comp gets turned on, it's really, really good, but until then, it's really, really bad. And so Broccoli, down in 30 health, still has that Aphelios 1, is going to really need to hit it pretty soon.
I mean, with the last Whisper, he should be able to finish off the Pantheon. Yeah, there we go. That looked a little bit scary, but this game, he could overtake Spencer in the rankings, too.
Yeah. I'm curious, I didn't get a chance to see Robinsongz board, but if he's still running the Vayne or if he switched to something else.
Yeah, I'm curious about that too. I'm sure we'll see it soon, but we already know what Imissvoidsins is running. He's back with the Skirmishers again. He's got a very powerful Mordekaiser right now because of the Thieves' Gloves. And that's
exactly
packing.
Lethal. Ouch. Oh, feels bad. Now I'm going to be curious if there's a Dragonslayer spat on the carousel. Yeah, I think there's like 3 big stories going on here right now. We have Imissvoidsins, who could secure a first with a really good placement here. We've got Robinsongz pushing up into second place with a good finish here. And then the rivalry here, we've got Broccoli and Musil, 4th and 5th again, really fighting for that last top 4 spot. I think in that next game, that's going to be the thing to watch, is those 2 fighting for that last spot.
That's true. Scenario where if he's able to take 2 firsts in a row, maybe, just maybe, he can sneak into a top 4, because he would be 32 at that point if he takes 2 firsts in a row. So a lot of big ifs there, but I suppose there's a slim chance.
It'd be really tricky here.
Yep, a lot of people choosing to take the attack speed away from Wolf. That's generally a pretty good idea. And now going up against the ghost of Imissvoidsins, it looks like. Or the spirit. I suppose you have to say spirit, because he's not dead yet.
That Diana ult will...
Big ult. Yeah.
The Kindred ult saves him, though. The Kindred ult does a massive heal there.
Yeah.
And this is what I was saying, the Forgotten Kindred.
Another ult, too, so 2 ults in that fight, and that is going to be a win against the ghosts. Okay, so no damage done to Imissvoidsins, but Robin doesn't take any in return, so...
But if you're going to put it in, you're going to have to put it in at the cost of some frontline, something like the Thresh, something like the Warwick, and that's going to be risky, because you're just going to lose a lot less time, so it's going to be real tricky here. I think it was a mistake to not put in the Viego, but we'll have to see.
It's one of those things where it's all about like what's going to be the expected value, I guess, and since it's only a Viego 1 late game, but I'm definitely in the same camp where I want to put them all in all the time. But look at this, Draven doing a lot of damage. That said, the Kindred ult's starting to pop off again, but Draven's getting in there. This is getting scary. If Kindred goes down, it's over.
Yep.
Kindred, another ult. One more ult.
I think it still wins.
No, that's it. Yep. And that might be nice, because if you can maybe stun the Hecarim before the cast comes through, and get an early kill, you know, maybe that can be the tipping point to let your army get back there faster. But he's not going to get on the Draven as fast as he did last time.
Yeah, positioning-wise, this seems to go in Domo's favor. Last time the positioning was side swap like this, Domo, the Draven, got to do enough damage to tear through. We have seen some of the Knights get a little stronger here, but yeah, the fact that... Oh, that Thresh Hook! That Thresh Hook might buy the time!
Oh, a lot of damage on the Draven. One more, and the Kindred! Wolf does it! And Robinsongz wins the game. You can see he is ecstatic, and why wouldn't you be? How often, Mort, do you see a Vayne beating a Draven? That is not something we see very often. Obviously, the Kindred helped a little bit, but that's a huge win for Robinsongz.
Because, ladies and gentlemen, Imissvoidsins, Robinsongz right now with 38 and 35 points respectively. They have just about locked themselves to make it to the North American Regional Finals in Doha.
It is time for Game 6 here at the Reckoning mid-set finale. We're going to hop on board with Musil, currently in 4th place, but it's Broccoli looking for some powerful combinations with that tier. We'll find out. In the meantime, taking a look at everybody else, 3 people streaking at the end of Krugs. Not something that you see all the time. And that's going to make certain players in this lobby a lot richer and wealthier than others. You can already see that big gap between 4th and 5th place. He is the one with the most HP at 78 relative to everybody else. Quick scout, does seem like a couple of other players are playing an Abomination. A lot of A-bomb in this lobby. Wow. I think I see half the players in this lobby have Scion sitting in the grave. Not the best, but shadow items are shadow items. Katarina, if you can find a Katarina too, that'd be great. Also, even to find a way to perhaps complement her with other units you can't get to 6 Forgotten. Finds a bunch of Dawnbringers. Nidalee 2. Is this a pivot opportunity? Final Whisper is one of the most flexible support DPS items in the game right now. I can go ahead and start swapping it out, and he is. Wants to find one more skirm.
This is a very interesting spot here, because the Final Whisper, this is like one of the rare items I feel like that can be like converted from attack damage into a casting position. You need like a Jeweled Gauntlet or something to go with it, because you need your spell to be able to crit. But if you end up...
And that's just a regular Tuesday. Finds a Viego on 7 to complement his Forgotten setup. Spencer is looking very nice at the moment. Looking to see what other Forgottens that he can place in. I spot a Hecarim that can go in. That's Forgotten number 5. That's a Hecarim 2. Would love to find another Forgotten unit. Draven could be the 6th if he so desires. And tried to skip level 7. One of the most awkward levels to go. Broccoli with that Aphelios is looking mighty fine. Rageblade, Untamed Hurricane, and Final Whisper with some reliable front line. But that Katarina in the back, trying to deal a little bit of damage. If you lose, Nightbringer does activate, and it does come down to the backline carries with the front line barely holding on both sides. And Broccoli able to turn an important corner and deliver a blow and stabilize his health total.
5-1 level 9. This is insane.
It's very, very, very strong. It's really good. I do think that some of the positioning can open himself up to very powerful Karma snipes onto his back line if anyone hits it. He's going up against Buzzyboo, who has the Skirmisher Yasuo aboard. Looks like it's a mixture of Skirms and Dragonslayers, and Mordekaiser is the carry. Does end up cracking through the front line. Sion does crash the battlefield, trying to stall the Mordekaiser for as long as possible. Heimerdinger gets for a second cast. And that Mordekaiser is stuck in his tracks as Rise is able to lock him in that Rune Prism. And Mordekaiser continue to work onto the back line. Domo trying to keep that streak alive. Mordekaiser just seemingly has infinite life. That Legionnaire buff coming up huge. Able to barely survive one more fight and apply a little bit of pressure. And all of a sudden, Domo takes a loss at 5-1, but 3, so it does explain a lot of how he wants to go for it, but I feel like Garen's just so crucial for what you want to be accomplishing. But in Domo's perspective, he says he's just going to ride this out here. Teemo gets Zephyred, and Voidsins does have a timer 2 with an Archangel Staff and a Hand of Vengeance. That's going to hit very hard. His Heimer goes down. No upgrade from the back line. And the big gamble from Domo is going to cost him a lot of HP. He spent 18 life for this Teemo 2, and he's going to hope that's able to stabilize just enough. Heimerdinger is still alive. Finally, Guardian Age will activate. And with Sion's activation of his ability, trying to clean up everything else, Heimerdinger hanging on. Another turret comes out, and it comes down to the last overtime seconds. The Revenant spat activates, and Domo takes some damage, and Spencer is on the last life. This could be a crucial elimination if it goes well.
Domo has to have this win take place, and that Karma, the first shot goes to that Heimer in the back, but Heimer answers back. Karma's still alive, though. So much health to be left. This A-Bomb Sion has to do so much work in a position like this. Gets cranked by Heimer, and right now, Domo's board is so thin, but it wipes through, and it gets through this. The Teemo's still alive. Everything happens. Spencer is going to fall next. And at -2 health, Mayusil and Broccoli both get knocked out at the same time as well. Spencer in 7th, Broccoli in 6th, Mayusil in 5th. This has been an insane couple of rounds.
Mayusil and Broccoli came to this game locked at 24 points apiece. Mayusil ends in 5th, so he has the edge, but that only puts him at 28 points. Domo's at 20. So if Domo gets 2nd, it is tied for 28. If Domo gets 1st, he is through to the top 4. This is the storyline as Buzzyboo, Robin, and Voidsins all have locked in their positions. There's also a fight for 1st, but we'll talk about that once we cross that threshold. Viego jumps back, steals the Heimer, and Teemo is next on deck. Kindred drops, trying to see if he can save the Teemo. Sion has joined the fight. Mordekaiser activating, trying to see if he can take down the Sion. Big damage comes the other way. Domo's out. And the dream to make top 4 has been stopped in his tracks. Domo gave it his best shot.
About to make this top 4, but they're here to show that, like, hey, wait a second. This has been a tough competition, and I can still get some of these wins taking place here. The Mordekaiser gets Zephyred into the air, but look at how powerful this board is right now. But I'll tell you what, the Heimerdinger gets uncontested, takes a poor shot, and the board is still wiped out on Buzzyboo's side.
Yeah, Buzzyboo trying to make a best of a bad situation. It seems like he's fighting both the opponents at the same time. The Infernal Rise is really devastating. What patch am I staring at? Is it Mordekaiser carry o'clock? I guess so. Buzzyboo able to dethrone Imissvoidsins' board, able to knock out Robinsongz. Buzzyboo has been eliminated from competition, but that's not going to stop him from at least trying to earn a little bit more cash.
One Bloodthirster's good, that means 2 is better. And look, the Garen's wearing 4 belts, all right? Usually I'm happy if my Garen's got 1 belt on. When it's got 4, I gotta be feeling good about this. The thing that I'm thinking about right now is that Imissvoidsins has classically shown they're good with position. Now that it's heads up, how good is their positioning?
Buzzyboo trying to see if he can make magic happen once more. Viego finally descends from the Zephyr and immediately targets the Garen. Is he going to be able to steal it? Is not able to get the Sovereign Domination off. And I think with this amount of damage pouring in, Buzzyboo is basically at his last stand. One more time, can we see the Mordekaiser, the dodges from Italy, preventing any damage from the Infernal Rise. It counts as auto attack damage, and Mordekaiser can't do it. Buzzyboo, thumbs up. Well played. Imissvoidsins going to close out the competition in first place with the Game 6 victory. Congratulations, and good luck in North American Regionals.
You have it. And we've got Imissvoidsins, Robinsongz, Spencer, TFT, and Mayusil making it into the top 4. Admirable. This was such a close competition.